Hello and welcome back to my craft room. I have just finished, I think it's almost dry, I have just finished painting this watercolour, my first watercolour flower properly, I think, and I just filmed it. It was my first go out of this book by Ann Mortimer, ready to paint in 30 minutes. Not quite sure what ready to paint in 30 minutes means. Because you're ready to paint straight away, aren't you? Right, okay, so each study has been designed to take no more than 30 minutes to complete. Well, I took almost an hour on this one, but that did include experimenting with my paint colours and things like that, because I didn't have quite the same colours and things. So maybe this one will be a bit quicker. And apparently there are 3 larger, more detailed projects at the end of the book. So if I go to my desk and show you, but yeah, check out the first one, the anemone one, if you want to know a bit more about it. But yeah, the difference with this is you've got these tracings, these images on tracing paper at the front of the book, and then it takes you through step by step. This is the colour palette that Anne uses. I shouldn't use all of these for every single one, and I'm just trying to approximate with the few tubes of watercolour that I've got, including this really sketchy, cheap brand, which is a bit of a strange texture and not too pigmented and stuff, but mostly I'm using these Winsor & Newton Cotman ones, which are kind of their student grade, I think, and Daler Rowney sort of mid-range ones. So this time I'm going to try Magnolia Bud. I have saved time by already tracing my image. See, that might not be counted in the 30 minutes, so we'll see. So this time it'd be interesting to see how long it takes me from scratch. I've mixed up the colours ready. I don't have a French ultramarine, but this one says ultramarine blue, so this is going to have to do. I probably want just a little bit more of this in here. So this time we're using burnt sienna, which I mixed with raw sienna and a touch of Indian red, quinacridone gold, which is a colour I love but I don't have in watercolour, and I mixed that with, I used some raw sienna, a touch of Indian red and some lemon yellow to kind of get as close to that as I could. Aureolin, which is this warm yellow colour, which I hadn't heard of before. Cobalt violet I've mixed together with a bit of this permanent rose in the sketchy one, some alizarin crimson and a touch of that Winsor blue, I believe, and Winsor blue is the other colour, French ultramarine and Winsor blue. Okay, I don't know what the difference is between French ultramarine and normal ultramarine, but perhaps it's a little less vibrant, I don't know, but anyway, we'll see how I get on. Step 1, I have to do like I did before and keep moving this out of the way. Step 1 is to prepare a well of cobalt violet, permanent rose, aureolin. In another, make a green mix by loosely mingling Winsor blue and quinacridone gold. Loose mingling. Lay a wash of cobalt violet over the whole of the flower bud. And the brushes, she's using 6 and 8 round and a size 2 rigger. I think the rigger is a long, thin one. That's probably not thin enough, but it's going to have to do. Okay, I'm ready to go. I'll be interested to see from here how long this all takes me. So, thin wash. Just thought it seemed crazy to just waste the paint I'd already got in my palette. To me that's looking a bit too purpley, so I think maybe my substitute colour ink would be too great. It's a bit more pinky in hers. Let's put a bit more pink in. Okay. Step 2, blend out the colour at the top of the bud and use a thicker mix of violet on the underside to create form. So blending out, after laying the area of wash, clean your brush, dab the brush on a piece of kitchen paper to rid it of some of the moisture and use the hairs of the brush to blend out the edge of the wash. Make small round movements with the brush to blend out the colour seamlessly. Okay. Not sure that's done what I meant to do or not. Use a thick mix of violet on the underside to create form. Lay a wash of Aureolin over the leaves and the stalk. So this is this kind of warm yellow colour which I created with the lemon yellow and a bit of raw sienna and maybe a touch of Indian red. Right, so I just want a wash of it though, so right, so I want this over all of the yeah, seems a shame to waste all the paint on this palette, doesn't it, when I can just go ahead and do another one. Now I'm trying to keep this, I'm not going right up to the edge of where that purple is, because if the purple and yellow mix together it will go a bit muddy, which sometimes is what you want, but not today. Okay, not looking the least bit like Anne's yet, but you know, we'll get there. Lay in a green mix of Windsor Blue and Quinacridone Gold on the leaves, wet in wet. So while that paint is still wet, I'm going to drop in some of that dark green that I've mingled. And then I'm going to blend out the areas of dark green on the leaves. Okay. Sorry about the manic barking of next door's dog. Just for a change. I know I sound like a misery guts saying that, but it's so constantly with me, that barking. I don't know if you can hear it. It just barks at nothing. Well, obviously it thinks it's barking at something, but nothing I can see. Leaf landing on the lawn or something. Now, is this going to be too dark? Possibly. This is where I could do with having the picture in front of me, really. I'm doing this blending out thing again. I need to wet this again. I'm obviously not working fast enough because it's definitely not still wet. I feel like I want a bit more yellow in there. I think one of the great things again with this using this book is I'm not having to worry about the sketch and what the and whether I'm getting a likeness of it or of the plant or not. I'm just enjoying the process of the painting because someone else has done that bit for me. Once I got a bit more confidence from working through this, then hopefully I will feel more able to start from scratch myself. But at the moment, this is a great, easy way of doing this, of getting into it. Yeah, I'm just finding the whole thing very relaxing, instead of that feeling of panic that that I might be getting otherwise. Because I'm, you know, this whole thing of not being in control of everything with watercolour. Okay, I think it's enough fiddling with the leaves for now. They definitely get nicer as they dry. That's nearly dry now, and it's actually looking better as it goes along. Okay, so that was kind of 2 steps at once. So it was step 4, laying on a green mix of Windsor Blue and Quinacridone on the leaves, wet and wet, and then step 5 was blending out the areas of dark green. Step 6 is laying a brown mix of French ultramarine and burnt sienna on the stalks, wet in wet. Then drop a little aureolin to give the stalks additional texture. Okay, so I think these are already, I'm going to have to put some clear water on to make it wet in wet. Right, let's I'm running out of mixing space on here, so I'm mixing all over the place. So a bit of the ultramarine and the burnt sienna, which is this one. Doesn't seem quite warm enough to me. Okay, that's better. Sort of. Okay, I'm going to have to put some clear water on here to make it wet in wet, because everything's dried up while I've been working on it. Okay, let's drop in some of this. drop in some of the aureolin. That's probably okay. I'm going to let that alone for a minute. Step 7. Load a brush. That sounds scary. Load a brush with a mix of permanent rose and cobalt violet. Use the mix to darken the centre of the flower. I can barely see where the lines of the drawing were now. Okay, so a mix of the rose and the cobalt violet. Oh right, oh right. Definitely not pink enough, mine, but that's fine. I'm not going to worry about it. Oh, she's definitely put some down here as well. Sort of getting the hang of this. Clean the brush, dip it in clean water, dry it off a bit, and then use it to blend out. So that's quite good. So 9. Return to the leaves. They're pretty dry now. With a darkened green mix. Suggest. Oh, I don't like this suggest business. We had this last time. Suggest the central vein. Central vein would be a good idea. That's my suggestion. On the topmost leaf, with the tip of your brush, blend out the central vein with a different brush. So here's my what's left of my green mix. I kind of feel like I'm going to have to make a bit more of that now. Oh, I'm getting weird light effects now. Hang on. Sorry, I don't know how long it's been like that for. I'm so engrossed. Right, that's probably the best I can do with that, I think. Because I'm just getting a bit too fussy. Quite like how that one came out. I can't seem to get that one in the right place, but never mind. Let's move on. Apply the darker, this is step 10, apply the darker green tone to the undersides of the other leaves. Alright. And they seem to have actually, she has blended that out, although she's not mentioning it. Yeah, it definitely looks blended out in her picture, so I'm gonna go with that. I feel like I'm getting a little bit too control-y and the colours aren't right, but I'm still having fun. I'm still having fun. Weird thing going on there. I'm going to have to do something about that. Step 11. Re-wet the stalk with a damp, clean brush. Then use the brush to add tone to the stalk in the brown mix. Okay, going to need some more brown mix then. What did we make the brown mix? I was going to make it up. Add some tone. That's sort of variation of tone, I guess. I might just do a bit more of that yellow than we did before. Use a rigger to stroke permanent rose up through the left-hand petal of the bud to suggest veins. That's step 12, and then step 13 is finally switch back to the size 8 brush to blend out the permanent rose and to add tone to the underside of the bud. Okay, so this is the last bit now. See, now this weird paint, I think I showed it in the first video I did just now, it's something to do with, it goes into this kind of jelly-ish kind of consistency when it starts to dry out. It won't just reuse through the other paints like this one, this is the Winsor & Newton one. It just reactivates, it's fine. This doesn't. It does this weird kind of jelly thing. So, but it was a very, very cheap set. Let's put a bit more of that in there. Okay, I'm going to use that to, I'm going to have that one ready for my blending out in a minute. So this I'm using instead of the rigger. It's the funnest point I could lay my hands on. I think a rigger has a much, it's much longer. And I think it's called a rigger because they use it for painting the rigging on those old ship pictures. I think so anyway. I might be making that up. Ooh, veins. Just suggesting veins. There's a lot of suggestion going on in this. Blend that all out again. I'm trying not to touch the purple and the green together so they don't all start mixing, but it's a bit tricky. Well, I think I'm going to leave it now before I start overworking it in an attempt to improve it. That's my usual problem. There you go. So that's my second one done. Now, how long have I taken this time? Brilliant. So even with stopping to explain myself, it always takes longer when you're filming things because you've got to move things around a bit more. And I was waffling on at the beginning for I think about 6 minutes. So considering I've now only been filming for 38 minutes, I would say it's definitely true that you can do these in half an hour. So that's brilliant. That's the last one for today though. I will let both of these completely dry and then take a couple of photos and put them on at the end of the videos. So yeah, I really enjoyed that. I thoroughly recommend this. So the next one I might try, so it's nice that she's given different kind of techniques every time. So the first one, the anemone, was layering. The Magnolia, it was layering in a different way, in that you had to blend out the layer to create a sense of form. And then this next one, this Cosmos, one of my favourite flowers. Actually, I always like daisy shaped flowers. This is all about the effect of using the white of the paper as an integral element. So yeah, it's a different technique again, so I'm quite enjoying that one. Looks like we're going to be painting the background, but that's for another day. That's all I'm going to do with that for today. Hope you enjoyed watching that. Thank you very much for joining me, and I'll see you again really soon.